Okay, Mr. Rose. As you know, we have students that go through the DAP process.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I want to know that I'm curious of as far as how to support these kids, what is the transition process back for students when they come back to their home campus?
Okay, well, basically what we do, and I'm going to try to, I think you'll be able to see it with that. Um, Sorry, I changed my password. Now it's like 50 characters long for some reason. Oops. Have my caps lock on. I'm gonna pull it up so you can see. We have what was called a transition packet.
Mm-hmm.
There's a book put out by the Apple Foundation, and it goes over the best practices of the DAEPs, and it's involved with the school to prison pipeline. And statistics say if a student comes to the DAEP, they have higher likelihood to wind up in the prison system based on why they came. And so they had some suggestions on things we could try to do, things we should ask, basic issues like that we go through to try to assist them with understanding what's important, what's not, and really we make them kind of self-evaluate why they're here and what occurred and all of that. And we do that through what we call the transition packet. And in this packet, this is something that as they fill it out, it's shared with me, and it's also shared with the assistant principal that was involved in their placement hearing for why they came. And I'm getting to that. You're gonna cut this where you need to, right?
Yes, sir. Mhm.
And this basically, and I don't know how well that's going to pick up this computer, but they come in and it talks about how to complete it. It's got 6 or 7 sections. The first is a page on reflection. They talk about how upset are you about being here? What occurred? Who all was incurred? Why do you think it occurred? What happened? How did it happen? Why did it? Are you to blame? Taking ownership and explain your answer. If someone else was involved, what was her or her responsibility? Why do you think you did what you did? And we don't accept a I don't know answer from kids. Ask about their feeling. What about the consequences? Do you feel that because of this you should have been sent here?
Mm-hmm.
And if not, what would have been an appropriate consequence? And we really make them think through, because a lot of them say, no, I shouldn't have been sent to the DAP for that. But you were, so why do you think they chose to do that? Why do you think it got to that point? And we go through some of that discussion. The second tab, it says success plan. They talk about what they plan to do with their behavior, attendance, and academics while they're at the DAEP. What are their goals? Because we go over them. Goals not written are the ones that you never achieve. Third is they have to write 2 letters. One to the principal of the campus, the other to their parent. On that one, first paragraph, explain what occurred. They should take ownership. Second, explain what you have learned while at the DAP. And the third is explain your plans on how you're going to be successful when you return. So one to the parent, one to the principal. The next tab goes over, again, what are their goals for behavior, attendance, and academics when they return. At the same time, we also ask them to identify, are there people on your home campus you feel you can talk to before you end up doing something you don't need to? They identify counselor, teacher, admin, and other staff members. I had one person, the person they felt they could talk to was one of the custodians. That person just got them. And so after that, we have a calendar that if they use it, it will keep up and they'll know how many days they have left if they enter the stuff incorrectly. Then the last one is the transition team list for the home campus. And we include this so that the home campus can use it. Under Chapter 37 now, when a student returns from a DAEP, they're supposed to have a meeting involving administration, counselor, if SRO if involved, a social worker, behavior coordinator, teachers, parents. They're supposed to have this fairly big meeting where they sit down and talk about how are we going to have success for this student so they don't end up going back to the DAEP. And that's the whole packet. Now, another thing we do to help them with transition, but also with success, we have what's called a success program, where they're watching. There's a series of videos that have been put out by, they do our yearbooks and stuff here. Anyway, it's a company that has a lot of positive messages. They watch that in the morning and do journals on it. At lunch, we have lunchtime motivation, and we have 31 videos that are from Goldcast that have different people like Denzel Washington talking about what it takes to be success, Kevin Hart, people like that a lot of these kids can identify with or look up to. They talk about how they've struggled to come over things. And so whatever the date is, that's the video they watch. So today was the first, they watch video number 1. And some of the kids say, well, we've already seen this video. And I said, that's because you've been here too long. If you hurry up and earn your days and get out of here, you wouldn't see the same videos. And so I'm often covering, sometimes like today I had to cover lunch because we have a staff member out. And I'm sitting there watching the videos too. And every time it kind of motivates me, like, come on, you've got to be doing more, get more done. So it's a comprehensive thing. We're really focusing in on them to understand that when it comes down to it, they're the ones that's going to count on to be successful, not when they return.
Okay.
And
thank you.
that was a whole lot in a nutshell, wasn't it?
Yes, sir. Another question that I have, do you currently have like a tracking system to just keep up with your former DAEP students, basically just to see how they're doing as far as are they transitioning back correctly, or are they having any behavior issues as to when they get back on campus?
What we do is for the students that have really been an issue, we'll do follow-up on the campus. Our teachers' conference period, it's not really a conference period because they have other duties also, is about an hour and 15 minutes. So that gives them plenty of time where they can go into a campus and visit. We have some teachers that have repeatedly gone. Some teachers have, depending on the student they made a relationship with, that'll determine who they go and visit. It's kind of interesting. The students that do the best and we never see again, in most cases, are the ones that are here for either drugs or alcohol, because they're not behavior problems, they're other problems. This year, on the high school side, we've had very few students that were here for persistent misconduct. And when they get here, because the other students are here, are kind of like, look, don't interrupt us, we're trying to get our day too, runs pretty well. Middle school side, it's the lack of maturity. And so unfortunately, we've had several that have left and came back almost immediately because they would go and I almost think for some of them purposely get in trouble because they prefer to be here versus their home campus. Either they feel safer, they feel they have more attention and learn better here, or they truly do not like the home campus and they'll do whatever it is they can to get out of it, even if it means the poor parents have to bring them every day and they no longer can be on the bus. Because it's a real issue and burden on the parents, since we do DAEPs, state laws, we do not have to provide transportation, the district doesn't, and we don't unless it's required under special ed services. And for those DAPs that are part of a cohort that serves several schools or school districts, then if you're not the hosting district, they have to provide transportation to that DAEP since it's not local.
Okay. And
did I answer the question?
yes, sir. Yes, sir. You kind of did. Kind of keeping track of them.
Okay.
What's the difference as far as I know it's disciplinary, but academic wise, what do you feel like is the difference as opposed to just being to a home campus, sitting in class with a teacher?
Okay. This year has been very different than previous years. In the past, we actually had an online curriculum system we used, and the majority of our instruction was done through that, with the teachers coming alongside and assisting where needed. Yes, on the high school side, I have 4 rooms. Each room has 9th through 12th graders in it. There is no 9th grade room, 10th grade room, because our population is such a high level of flux that you can't make a 9th grade room, 10th, 11th, and 12th. And even if I had a 9th grade room, I might have 3 different math classes going on in that room at the same time. So we do the class, it just makes based on, plus if we have 2 kids that are sent because they got in a fight, they can't be in the same room, so they have to be split. And so when I have a math teacher, and I use math since that's what I taught, in the classroom, let's say there's 13 kids in there, I may have 4 or 5 different maths. I know at one point we had a classroom that had everything from Algebra 1 to Calculus, all in there at the same time. So the teacher isn't presenting lessons, they're going on and coming alongside. Now this year, because of Canvas, The teachers on the home campus have provided that instruction, and our teachers just go alongside, ensure that the students are doing the work, and then assist as needed if they can't understand what the teacher explained through Canvas or through the videos that were uploaded or something like that. So this is the first year that the work was done. You were doing the same work that you were doing on campus if the teacher was providing all of the same work in Canvas.
Okay.
Some teachers, and let's be honest, you might have a class of 30 kids and they're all in class. Well, suddenly you have one over here and you've got to start putting stuff on Canvas. You may not put as much effort into what you put on Canvas as you are in the classroom. So it's not the same level of instruction. Just because if I can ask you a question in real time and get an immediate response, I might have a second question that I can ask right then. But if I'm having to email you the question, then when you email me back, which may be the next day, and then I email you and that other question I come up with because of your answer, and you email me back, it could be 2 or 3 days to have the same conversation that took 20 or 30 seconds being live in the classroom. And so, but with that being said, because all of our instruction is coming through Canvas from the home campus teachers, they're still doing the same thing. And so we're not worried about a child being over here and we're covering exponents. Let me use math again. We're covering exponents when on the classroom, because that's what's on the pacing chart, but in the classroom, they may be covering radicals just because that's where they're at and we're not there. So a student could potentially miss some content because they're going back and forth between the two. Now, this year, when a student goes back, they should be exactly where the class is and they shouldn't be behind or ahead. All the sick kids back where they got there and they'd already covered it and they got in trouble because they were bored.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, another question that I have, I know on our campus we do provide a counselor, and not just the counselors that actually schedule, it's an outside counselor that kids can go in and they can talk to about any issues or things that they might have. Do you guys have that available on this campus?
Yes, and actually, we have the regular counselor who really does more talking to the kids about their feelings, because y'all's counselor will actually do the schedule. Our counselor may share it with them and give it to them. We have, just like y'all do, we have Next Step. They have a counselor and they can sign up for, parents can sign their children up to be considered, and that counselor comes and visits them. And then we have another counselor that comes on Mondays and Fridays, Wednesdays and Fridays. On Wednesday, they meet with high school groups. Fridays, they meet with middle school groups. And that's an additional counselor where they're sitting in groups and discussing some of the issues they deal with. So here they have additional counseling opportunities available to them that we put them through than what they actually have on the campus.
Okay. All right, my next question would be about communication. As you know, you'll have kids that go to DAP and then maybe something slips through the cracks where the teachers, kind of like you were saying, it goes back to, we have Canvas now, but the teachers wasn't able to like maybe give the work for the kids, and they're needing work to be provided so they won't get behind even more than what they are right now. What's your ways of communication? How do you guys communicate?
Okay, and let's get to the academic side on this. Student logs in the first day here into Canvas and there's no work. What they're to do is they email the teacher letting them know, I'm at the DAP, can you please put work on campus, I have something to do. They have an assignment tracker, which is a written thing, and they write down today's date. At 3:45, I send an email to Mr. Rhodes, my math teacher, telling him I don't have any work in Canvas and I need some. Then he'll go on and he'll work on other stuff, or we'll give them stuff to work on. Day 2, he goes in there. Still no work. He sends another email, marks it down, but also at the same time, the first day he let the teacher know. On the second day, if there's no work, our teacher in the class is also emailing that teacher, letting them know, can you please put work in Canvas? That. On the third day, student checks. If there's no work, again, sends a third email. Teacher sends the second email, but includes me, and I'm sending the administration an email letting them know I have a student that for 3 days has asked for work and doesn't have any. And usually, if it has to go that far, and usually it doesn't, it gets cleaned up.
Nice.
The other thing is this, sometimes the students will come here and they'll try to get on and assignments will be locked because it's already past the due date. And at that point, we try to get with the teachers, and my teachers will email the teacher saying, hey, is there any way you can unlock this? give the student the chance to do it, to work on it, to, to bring the grade up. It comes down to educational philosophies. Is your philosophy or belief that a student has the opportunity to learn the stuff on Monday and should get tested on Tuesday, and that's their grade, and we're going to move on to the next thing? Or is your philosophy the main object is we need to teach the child? And so if they need 2 or 3 attempts in order to show mastery and to learn the material, are we going to give them that? And maybe they can't get as high of a grade on the 3rd attempt, but they can still show and they're given more opportunity to learn it. Is that what you're going to do?
Okay.
Occasionally, we get, just bluntly honest, we get staff members that never unlock anything, never provide any work, and we have to use the documentation from the students and us emailing the teacher to keep them from getting a low grade, because how can a student get a passing grade if they're never given any work to do? But at the same time, we do give them work here, and our grading handbook actually states that the work done by students at the DAP can be sent to the home campus, and the grade they receive on that from us is the grade that has to replace any grade given during the time they were here. Since we're on campus, we really haven't had to use that, enforce that, and we don't want to have to. But it's all about, do we care about the kids, making sure they're learning and doing all we can. I know teachers on the home campuses, they got a lot on their plate. And then suddenly to add where you've got to put that stuff on canvas, it's hard. But it comes down to, it's for the kids. And that's what we're all here for.
Yes, sir. All right, my last question, I guess, would be just the entire DA process, starting from the beginning, like when the kid gets in trouble, all the way up to the point when they see you. What do you believe are some strengths of it, and what do you believe some things that maybe we can work on as a campus, as a district?
Okay, let's explain the process. Little Mitch is going down the hallway, and I get in a fight. The APs come, it broke up, however, I'm taking the office. Because of the violation I did, that AP sends a report to constituent services saying we are recommending that this student be considered to go to the DAEP for what he has done on this campus. Then constituent service looks at what occurred, makes sure it meets the requirements and is consistent with what we've been doing throughout the district. If it does, then they send a letter back saying they have been approved to be sent to the DAP for this many days. Elementary, they get 15 days the first time, 30 the second, and if it's a third, 45 days. Middle school and high school, they usually get 30. The second time it's 45, then 60, then 90 if there's actually a fourth time. And yes, we've had very few people where there's actually been a fourth time.
Okay.
With that being said, then the parent, so the administration has to get the approval before they even call in the parent to say, well, this is what's happening. Then they call in the parent, they have a meeting or what's called a hearing where they go over everything, explain everything. The parent and student is able to present, well, hey, what about, you didn't know about this, you didn't know about that. If it's a special ed student or a 504, they also do a manifestation determination review to make sure that whatever happened is not a manifestation of the disability that they're being supported and served in. Then, once they have that hearing, at the same time they get the letter for approval, we get sent a copy of the letter also so that we know this person may be coming. They have the hearing, and after that, they send that complete packet to us. We get the packet, and we wait for the student to show up. We have orientation every day at 2 o'clock. The student shows up, we have the orientation, and they start the next day. We do not count them present on our attendance roster until they physically show up after orientation. Because we have kids come to orientation and not show up. So that's the process. As far as what adjustments need to be made, I think some focus needs to occur on when they return. Are we having the meetings, and are we providing the pieces of support that the student, if they need it, can be there for them? Particularly I'm thinking special ed kids or 504 that have issues with blowing up or emotional issues, that, where's the safe place they can go? Identifying the things that they need to be successful that's in their paperwork and making sure everyone's aware of it. Which honestly our district does a really good job of. It's, you have to understand something about what I would say is the DAP philosophy. You are a teacher. You have 30, 60, or 90 avid students that you're responsible for, right?
Yes, sir.
You have one student in that class of 30 that is always off the chain, misbehaving, causing it to the point that the other 29 are not learning.
Mm-hmm.
At what point would you as a teacher feel that student needs to get to before they need to be removed from your room so you can teach the other 29? Well, if a kid is on a campus and they're acting out to the point that they are interrupting and keeping the educational process for a class of students to occur, they need to be over here for a little bit. They need to realize that in today's school age system, being on that campus is a privilege. It is, you have a right to education, but you do not have the right for that education to occur at a specific spot. The school district can determine that. That's why if you move from here to here, you may end up switching schools, or you may not. The school district can say, well, no, you're gonna have to stay at the school you were at because of this. We're not allowing you to switch schools till you prove you can do what you need to do over here. And I mean, I think that's pretty important. In the end, I think in wanting to be a future administrator, if you have ways to take care of the problems on your campus that will keep other students from not learning, you need to take advantage of those. I know in today's day and age, if you choose to keep 4 or 5 students on your campus that cause 100, 4 to 5, but I'm talking, the class size about 30 students, let's say. If you have 4 to 5 students that between are affecting from 120 to 150 students by acting out in class where the teachers can't teach, and that's 8 classes, well, those 150 can keep you from reaching accountability, can make you not reach accountability and be considered proficient or A or B grade or whatever they're going to be doing now on your standards, on your accredited, on what the accountability system. And if that happens, as the administrator, your job can be on the line.
Yes, sir.
That's just the truth of it. So do you want to take a chance trying to, if you've repeatedly tried to work with these kids to help them do well, do you want to take a chance with your career and job at that school for the sake of 2 or 3 kids that just will not behave? So they need to come to a school like this. They need to learn that there are consequences for their actions, and by doing so, if they learn and realize and mature, they'll be fine. And a lot of it is, for us, high school this year has been very nice because all the kids are fairly, they're mature. Middle school, there's a middle school across the board anywhere. Just the lack of maturity is the biggest thing we deal with. But I got a lot of kids in middle school crying for help. And when they don't get it even from our teachers, they don't stop crying. They continue to whine and yell and scream. And they want, what they want is they want to be loved, cared for, and feel like they can do anything.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Rose, for your time.